On December 14, 1993, the worst incident in CEC history occurred at the Aurora location. It's gone by many names, but most refer to it as the Chuck E. Cheese Massacre. That's because it involved the killing of 4 innocent lives. The person responsible for this was 19-year-old Nathan Gerard Dunlap. Now, Dunlap was a troubled individual, as according to many who knew him or heard about him, he was often quiet, but did have many issues. He had a very bad childhood, as his mother suffered from bipolar and constantly abused him and his siblings. His father wasn't much better, as he too would beat Nathan, even in public. Dunlap also had a criminal record prior to the tragedy. He had many run-ins with the law, from robbing places to selling drugs. In May 1993, Nathan got a job at the Aurora Chuck E. Cheese's as a kitchen worker, but this didn't last long, as just 2 months later in July 1993, he was fired after he and his manager had disagreements over scheduling hours. Though despite being fired, he would still visit the restaurant frequently to visit former coworkers, but the more he visited, the more angry he would get, and many times he would mention how he was going to return there and rob the store. Most of his coworkers didn't think much of this. That was until the day in question. On the night of Tuesday, December 14, 1993, shortly before 9 p.m., Dunlap entered the restaurant. He ordered a ham and cheese sandwich and played an arcade game, more specifically, a shooter game, and even more specifically, Hogan's Alley. At 9:50 p.m., 10 minutes before closing, Nathan went to hide in the bathrooms and waited until the store closed for the night. While in there, he kept amping himself up and preparing himself for what he was about to do next. At 10:05 p.m., 5 minutes after closing, he exited the bathroom and pulled out a .25 caliber handgun and proceeded to shoot anyone in the restaurant he saw. In total, he shot 5 people, all working their night shift jobs. The first victim was 20-year-old Sylvia Crowell, who was cleaning the salad bar when she was shot in the right ear and was wounded. The next victim was 17-year-old Ben Grant, who was shot near his left eye while he was vacuuming the floor. The third victim was 17-year-old Colleen O'Connor, who, after witnessing the previous shootings, she sank to her knees and pleaded for her life, but Dunlap, showing no remorse, shot her in the forehead, killing her instantly. Meanwhile, outside the restaurant, 20-year-old kitchen worker Bobby Stevens was on his smoke break. He did hear the gunshot sounds, but just assumed that it was kids nearby popping balloons. After his break, he went back inside the restaurant and began putting kitchen utensils in the dishwasher. Then Dunlap entered the kitchen and shot Stevens in the jaw. The final victim was 50-year-old Margaret Kohlberg, who was the night manager. Actually, it was her first day as a solo manager. She was in the back room counting money when Dunlap came in. He forced her to open a safe, and when she did, he shot her in the ear. Dunlap then took the money from the safe, but when he saw that Marge was still moving, he shot her in her other ear, this time killing her. The manager that actually fired Nathan back in July wasn't working that day. After committing the crime, Dunlap took $1,500 in cash from the safe, along with Chuck E. Cheese tokens and keychains. After that, he left the store feeling very satisfied with himself for what he just did, but this story is far from over. I have yet to mention something about one of the victims, and that's the outcome of Bobby Stevens, the fourth person shot by Dunlap. After he was shot in the jaw, he played dead by staying as still as possible until Nathan left the kitchen. Afterwards, he ran through the restaurant and out one of the side doors. He then ran to some nearby apartments and told people that there was a shooting at the Chuck E. Cheese, and to call 911. He was then sent to the Denver General Hospital, where he survived and made a full recovery. Here's a sample of the 911 phone call.
Emergency 911. I have a man who's been shot at my house right here. He came from Chuck E. Cheese. He claims there's been a lot of people shot there.
Put another call in for Chuck E. Cheese.
When police and paramedics arrived, they saw all the bodies, 2 in the main hallway, 1 in a back room, and 1 that was off the hallway. It's rumored to be the showroom. Pretty soon, Chuck E. Cheese would be surrounded by nothing but police cars, ambulances, caution tape, and many concerned bystanders and victims' family members. Speaking of the showroom, one eerie piece of trivia for this incident is that during the investigation of the crime scene, the animatronics were still performing. Since the shooting occurred just minutes after closing, no one was able to go turn off the show. Some police did try to get the show shut off, but obviously there was more important things to be concerned about, like providing aid to the injured bodies. The victims who were wounded were immediately rushed to the hospital, but sadly none of them made it. Chuck E. Cheese, what was once a place that brought joy to many kids and adults, was now the site of one of the worst tragedies in Colorado history. Meanwhile, while all of this was going on, Nathan Dunlap, after initially leaving the restaurant, he went to a friend's house and told him what he just did, and began counting the money. He then called his girlfriend and went to her house where he once again told her about the crime he just did. Back at the restaurant, Dunlap's mom was told by police to call his phone and get him to come talk to the cops. But Nathan wasn't in a hurry as he took a shower and cleaned his hands with peroxide to get rid of evidence on him. Then his girlfriend took his clothes and his gun and hid it behind a shed up the road from her house. After that, he went to another friend's house to confess what he did, before finally going back to his home where he was greeted and questioned by police. However, he was not arrested that night. It wouldn't be until 9 days later on December 23, 1993, where he was finally arrested and charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder, attempted murder, robbery, and burglary. His girlfriend was also arrested and served 5 years in jail. Now from here onwards, the story of Nathan Dunlap is very complex and too long for this video. Also, it kinda strays too far away from this video's main topic, that being Chuck E. Cheese. So I will just be summarizing key events that happened after his arrest. So 3 years later in 1996, Dunlap went to court, and after a very heated and profanity-filled trial, he was found guilty on all charges and given the death penalty. His execution would be held in August 2013. However, 2013 came and went, but Dunlap wasn't executed. So, why? Well, in May 2013, Dunlap submitted a petition of clemency to the then governor of Colorado, John Hickenlooper. He claimed that he was sorry for what he did and was suffering from bipolar, though I don't think anyone was buying that. But later that same month, while he wasn't granted clemency, he was given a temporary reprieve, so as long as John Hickenlooper was governor, Dunlap would not be executed. As years went by, John Hickenlooper was no longer governor, but Nathan Dunlap was still not executed. Finally, in March 2020, Colorado decided to abolish the death penalty, for some reasons unknown. This meant that Dunlap was now no longer going to be killed, but instead his sentence was changed to life in prison without parole. This of course outraged the victims' families since they were promised this monster would be killed, but then wasn't. But to them, it seems like Dunlap got away with it.